You guys loved the $360 gaming PC that we bought on Amazon, and it was actually really good for the price. So we wanted to find out, could you at home beat it building it yourself?
What we have right here is everything you need to beat the $360 gaming PC from Amazon. And today we're gonna give you a step-by-step guide on how you can build it yourself, get rid of some of the extra stuff you don't really need, the RGB, and make a really awesome gaming PC that performs very well in 2023 on a budget. But before we dive into that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. Are you tired of your unactivated Windows install on your gaming PC? Well, today's video sponsor, GVG Mall, has you covered. GVG Mall is an online marketplace to gain access to really awesome discounted game keys and, more specifically, as we mentioned, Windows 10 licenses.
It is incredibly easy to get your Windows 10 or 11 activation key from GVG Mall. Just use code TB20 to get a special discount, and then all you have to do is take that code, put it into Windows, and boom, you have an activated Windows copy.
We have been working with GVG Mall for several years now, and we love the reliability of all the products they have to offer. So be sure to check the link in the description down below. Use code TB20 to save on your next purchase of a Windows key or other product from GVG Mall.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go over the specs of this gaming PC. It was one of the first times that we got a build that was actually cheap and not terrible. So obviously there's a couple of things that we'd call fluff in here. For one, we have this King Fast SSD, which is probably one of the slowest 2.5-inch SSDs you could probably buy in the market. And then we have one of the most ancient hard drives from 2012. That is over 10 years old. And we just say, get rid of the hard drive. There's no reason for them. Just spend the money on a bigger SSD. And as far as the other specs go, we do have 16 gigs of RAM. They actually gave us 4 sticks as well, which is pretty sweet. We have an i5 7500 underneath that stock cooler there, a GTX 1660 Super, which is just like an OEM card. And for the other specs, we have 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM that actually is 4 sticks, which is pretty cool. Underneath the stock cooler, we have an i5 7500, which is actually a pretty decent CPU, even in today's standards. A GTX 1660 Super 6 gig, which is an awesome card. This one is just a single fan, single 6-pin, probably like an OEM Dell or Lenovo or something like that. But yeah, this build, $360 is pretty good, and LED strip, which you don't really need, but if you want to add one, you totally could. We'll show you how to do it for around $5 to $10.
Now, for our build that is meant to compete with this system, we went a different route. Instead of going with an Elite desk, we went with a standard Optiplex. This is an Optiplex 7050 that we bought on eBay for $200, and it features an i7 7700, which is a 4-core 8-thread, a step up over the quad core that is in this system with the i5 7500. It does come with 32 gigs of DDR4 memory as well, a 256 gig SSD, which is an M.2 SSD. I can't really confirm if it's NVMe or not, but it is a 256 gig SSD, and altogether it was $200, so that's a pretty good basis. Now, the one thing that you have to deal with these Optiplexes, and you might have seen in our ultra budget gaming PC challenge, is the power supply in these things are pretty limited. Now, I think the one in here is also pretty adapted and small. Let's see, what is the wattage on this one? Total of 250 watts. So honestly, the power supplies are pretty similar. I think this one is also around 250 watts. Same layout and everything. The cage just comes out. This is more similar to something like a Pavilion, like gaming desktop, where you can open it up with a little swivel setup, and you really should be taking this off, even though I probably just broke them all.
I was thinking it.
I think, you know what, they didn't break this time. Most of the time they do break.
Impressive.
So we'll go ahead and take this part off real quick. All right, let's pop that off. Boop. All right, so we're gonna open this thing up again. And as I mentioned, the 32 gigs of RAM, we have the 7th Gen i7. 4 cores and 8 threads is really gonna be the biggest benefit here over just a quad core. And the SSD right here is I think just Micron SSD. It looks like a SATA SSD, if I had to be honest. Let me see if I can pop this out real quick. Nope, just does that. Maybe. There we go. Okay. It's just a SATA SSD. So not a big upgrade over like a standard 2.5-inch, which, because it is a 256 gig SSD and we wanted to get this video done in a timely manner, we did slap in this other SSD, which if you do include it in the price, we did it for testing purposes, so we didn't have to install games, uninstall games, and install them again. It will probably equal the exact same price as this system. So you could go that route and replace that hard drive and have 2 storage options. It works out really well for this build. Now, the one thing that this system does that we obviously are not a huge fan of, but we're gonna have to do in our build as well, is this SATA to 6-pin adapter. Now, I did my best to try to find an HP OEM card, and for some reason I did order one, and I have no idea where it went. Jackson doesn't even know this yet. I bought one, it showed up to the office, and then it disappeared. I couldn't find it. I don't know where it went. It's somewhere, but who really knows? But I ended up grabbing another 1660 Super, but the issue is this thing uses an 8-pin power connector, which in theory, this one shouldn't draw much more power than the OEM model, but we do have to use 2 SATAs here, which isn't a great thing to do because SATA does not pull a ton of power, but it should work out overall, hopefully, fingers crossed. But we have these 2 SATA power cables right here that all you have to do is take the adapter and go Boop. So we got it all plugged up here. You can avoid this whole situation by using the link we recommend down below and get a 6-pin to SATA adapter. Using adapters is still not great, but it will work out better instead of using 2 of these SATAs. It's just really not recommended. But then now that we have this, we have the 8-pin power connector. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is install the GPU, but I think what we need to do is clean the thermal paste, because you'll see some built-in benchmarks later where we tested this already because we wanted to get ahead on it. And the CPU was at 90 degrees Celsius during those benchmarks. So that means it needs some new thermal paste, which is an added cost. I mean, buying our thermal paste tube and stuff will get you closer to this price point, but it's always good to have thermal paste at home, especially if you mess around with PC hardware, to be able to do things like this and make your PCs run nice and good. So yeah, do opposing corners first to remove your CPU cooler. All right, so we're gonna take the, oh wow, that's pretty rough. But yeah, that's not good thermal paste spread, guys. So yeah, we'll just dab a wee bit like so, and we'll just let the rubbing alcohol do all the work. Look at that, nice and clean, good to go. Clean off the bottom of the cooler. For thermal paste, we're running real low. So yeah, these are just thermal paste tubes that comes with coolers. We get them and we just stockpile them. So we'll go ahead and put a little bead right here. Then we're going to put the cooler back and do exactly what we just did. All right, guys, so the CPU cooler is secured and good to go. And that's all we really need to do, minus installing the GPU, which will be pretty straightforward. Here's our little graphics card, which is a little dirty. I'll give it a little blow. Oh man. Oh man. This is the eBay special, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and open this up. Obviously take this outside as well. It's better to do it that way, but you know what? We're YouTubers, we don't wanna abide by rules. So we're gonna go ahead and put this graphics card in. We need to like wedge it underneath here and push this little guy down. We are using the utmost top blue slot. It is important to use that one to get the full bandwidth. And boom, we're in. Now I will say with these graphics cards, I have noticed that this little layout right here where it's supposed to like hold it down with these little nubs, it doesn't really hold super well. The bracket might need to be bent down a little bit, but it should, for your purposes, be fine like this. Our purposes when we sell this over at PC Bros, we're probably gonna bend the bracket down a little bit so it is secure for shipping, but for your purposes at home, it'll work perfectly fine. And now we're gonna take this very dangerous adapter, just kidding, it's only mildly dangerous. So we'll go ahead and plug it in like so, and boom, we should be good to go. Now we'll go ahead and tuck it in right here so we can push down. Yeah, we're good. Little compression, but we're good. And what we're gonna do is go ahead and put this front panel back on. Everything is nice and secure the way it's meant to be. We have a gaming PC. Now, yes, again, you could add the RGB if you wanted to. I did it for my build when I had one of these Optiplexes. It doesn't look as great in these, I'll be honest with you, but you can add like a little RGB strip right here and have an extra glow. But honestly, we're here for performance, guys. We're not here for RGB, and we're gonna go ahead and test this thing in some of the games that we tested this PC in, see how it performs, and decide whether or not building yourself was a good route or if you should just bought on Amazon.
All right, guys, we're playing Halo Infinite, and we're on the same settings, but I'll prove it, in case you guys don't believe me. 120 FOV, medium settings, and we're on 1080p. Yep, right there. I was like, where's that setting at? And yeah, this is already looking better off the rip. I know before we were getting around like 80 to 90 FPS most of the time. We'll have to do some side-by-side.
Yeah, we'll get some side-by-side in there to show you guys. It was on a different map, so it's not super apples to apples, but we were getting about 80 to 90 here and there. But it does look like we are still limited by the 1660 Super. So overall, it's still a very balanced system with a little bit of upgrade path. That i7's still running kind of hot. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's just because there's so much happening in this box that it's just gonna run a little bit hot. But it's not something to be super concerned about long term, and if you are concerned about it with a jank system like this, you gotta take the side panel off.
I didn't mean to throw that. Where the hell did you come from? That was a heater of a needle right there. Oh,
for scientific purposes, we're gonna take the side panel off and see the difference so you guys at home can decide. Kind of staying the same. We'll give it a little bit longer though.
All right, who's hiding in the corner this time?
It is getting a decent amount better. We haven't touched 90 in a little bit after taking off. Oh, 89, wait a second. We're close, we're really close. So I would say the cooler itself is probably the limiting factor with this 7 Gen i7.
Oh, I want to stick in. Wait till 10 seconds.
And there it goes.
Yay.
Yay. PC performed better.
Yeah, it was definitely about, what, 10, 20 FPS average better?
Yeah. Let's try some Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. There's like no time left in this game, but you know what? We're in this game. We're in Call of Duty multiplayer, basic preset, same FSR, performance FSR, and we're gonna run around and try to get some kills. This is a different map. This must be a new map. I don't remember this one, but
it looks freaking strenuous.
We're getting very similar FPS numbers to the last time, but the map does seem a bit different. So again, take those numbers with a grain of salt. But I have noticed these older Intel CPUs just do not like Call of Duty in general. You're gonna be limited even though we have the hyper-threading now with the 4-core 8-thread. It just is what it is. So this would be a type of game that we would be bottlenecked a decent amount by the Intel CPU.
Oh, that was a headshot.
Oh! Oh! Boom! What? Hey. Yep. Oh.
Is that your AFK, buddy?
I think it is. Oh, hello.
Enable quick scopes. What is he using? I got lost. Can you throw it? Oh, dang.
There's gun game for you, ladies and gentlemen. The performance was great. And yeah, I would say on this map, obviously being a more condensed map, you'll have no problems whatsoever. And you're able to raise settings a little bit. I was like, what do I do with it? Do I just hit him? And I was like, oh, there's the guy. I'll kill him that way.
He was actually aiming for the dead guy.
But yeah, pretty good so far. What we're gonna do is run some built-in benchmarks, which would be great for the side-by-side comparison. We got Cyberpunk and Far Cry 6, and then we'll just talk about the value proposition of building yourself versus the Amazon PC, because I think we did pretty good with some compromises.
All right, guys, we just got done benchmarking this PC, and then obviously recently we benchmarked the STG refurb build. And overall, you gotta remember, I mean, this was a refurb deal, so it was already a really, really good price. Originally, it could have been $400 or $500, but we were able to build this one for a tad over $300, which I think is a really good value proposition. But obviously, if you don't want to have to build it yourself, and really there's not much building, if you just want a warranty just out of the box, then yeah, that's a cool little build right there. I don't really know what the warranty is though. It's probably 30 to 90 days, I would guess. This guy right here, you're really only gonna get about 30 days, and you gotta make sure you buy from people who do have some type of return policy.
And while I think we were able to beat this PC in terms of price to performance, it wasn't like significantly cheaper, like $100 cheaper. It's really only about like 30 to 40 bucks cheaper. So I do have to give a shout out to STG with this thing and the refurb deal you can find, because it is a pretty good value overall. I would just say maybe a bigger SSD overall and just get rid of like the hard drive and maybe use this King Fast as a secondary drive. But you will be spending a bit more money, closer to the $400 range. But it's really cool to see that this PC exists for people who want to buy on Amazon with Prime shipping, and you can use that link down below as affiliate link. It will help us out if you do want to go that route. But this one right here is more than capable as well if you want to save a few bucks.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros. And do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Now, both of these gaming PCs will be for sale at PC Bros, and guess what? We're gonna go way above and beyond and give you guys a 1-year warranty on both of these systems.
PCBros.tech, gaming PCs, gaming laptops, and so much more. If you use code ToastyBros2 on checkout, well, not 4, 2 on checkout, you'll save 2% on your next purchase. And stay tuned, guys, for these desk mats and mouse pads coming to the website very soon. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Peace out.